Hi, my name is Aya, and I'm the present chair of TransitionUS.
Good morning. I'm Mark. I'm the previous chair of TransitionUS, and I kind of miss you guys. I hope that things are going well.
Mark, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to figure things out. It took at least 6 months for us, me in partnership with Jessica Alvarez Parfrey, the executive director, the rest of the board, as well as the staff, to really have close-knit discussions to further what we thought was a natural trajectory for TransitionUS. I'm happy to say that today I have a lot to share with you.
And I'm looking forward to hear that. I know in our previous conversations, I've been really impressed with all that you have been able to do, the staff, the board, and your leadership.
Thank you. It's really the confidence you gave me to give them, which was really incredibly important. At the beginning of those 6 months, we really did a lot of outreach to get the right people to the table that we thought we needed in this conversation about a regenerative nation. Based on an ideology steeped in permaculture, we created a California pilot project. In accordance to our strategic plan, TransitionUS at both the staffing as well as the board level are now 75% BIPOC. We are now a Black, Indigenous, people of color led effort. One new board member is Mel Figueroa. She is one of the leaders of Chico TEK. TEK stands for Traditional Ecological Knowledge, and they have been doing ecosystem restoration work using indigenous knowledge like place-based seed banking to restore ecosystems. It's been really exciting to support indigenous-led efforts to restore ecosystems, forests and watersheds in particular. Nathan Liu is another board member that joined us. He is a tree doctor and he restores oak groves down at Mount Palomar, which is where Nestle has a permit to take water from. Now the streams there are dry. Nathan has been bringing in sheep and goat to clear the underbrush and to create healthier ecosystems for the oak trees and to help restore the watershed. Another board member is Ruben Canedo, who is the premier basic needs expert nationwide. He built the basic needs system for the public university systems in California, the University of California, as well as the Cal State systems. All of these universities and colleges now have a basic needs assistance program. By design, these colleges and universities have a full third of the student body who are in need of financial assistance and therefore don't have their basic needs met. Ruben started a movement where all of these universities have a basic needs office and do outreach to these students so that their basic needs are met. Amorosa Rizzo Centino is also a board member. She's steeped in environmental justice and the labor movement out of the Central Coast of California and can combine the above conversations about basic needs and ecosystem restoration and inform us about how to involve people from working class backgrounds more into these efforts that we have been engaged in. And another new board member is Keith Harvey, a community organizer who works with youth residing in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Lil Milagro Henriquez is founder and executive director at Mycelium Youth Network. They are the premier gaming climate change educational organization that targets inner city youth. And they use Dungeons and Dragons to illustrate to children the challenges of climate change, not in a scary way, but in a storytelling. It brings out their creativity, their camaraderie, and they have fun while learning how to be an activist, really. It's all hidden in the game. It's all there. And of course, there are the longtime TransitionUS supporters, Aurora Swennerfeld and Jessica Cojodes and myself, who are holding the legacy of TransitionUS alive within the board. I'm really excited to bring together the board members that can really speak to that transition that we're looking for. To me, the transition movement is the transition from the me to we paradigm. The space where we really care about whether other people's basic needs are met in everyday life, a space where we talk about restoring ecosystems on a wider scale, and a space where we're actually cultivating solutions for the future, not just combating the problem. From there, we really have been talking about how to bring this work to the rest of the transition and the world at large. There's also a Northeast pilot as well as a Midwest pilot, not just Californians, led by other board members. We're inviting others to pilot these restorative relationships. And it will mean different things in different regions, but in California, where we've been really focused on creating this example and a pilot, we're really trying to restore ecosystems as well as human relations. For example, Jessica Alvarez Parfrey and I attended a couple weeks ago a fire mimicry workshop with Ecosystem Restoration Camp. It was a weekend workshop about fire mimicry. In California, there's been a lot of uncontrolled, high-intensity fires that devastate forests and ecosystems. The original stewards of these forests would have done cultural burns to maintain the health of the forest. Thus far, we've been told to fear fire completely. Smokey the Bear was a really effective campaigner. He told us that fire is scary, that we should always put it out. But really, the indigenous traditional practices was to do controlled burns, cultural burns during the wet months. They would burn the underbrush, the bushes that provide fuel and fire ladders that result in catastrophic fires that burn down the tall canopy of trees that we seek to protect. By doing controlled burns of the underbrush, we actually decrease the amount of fuel on the ground that will carry diseases and vectors of fires up into those trees that we want to protect. The frequency and systematic nature of these indigenous practices have been proven by coring some of the ancestors' trees. The cultural burns ended in the 1800s. Basically, every couple of years, the practice was to burn. The smoke would get rid of the lichen and the moss off the trees. And the moss and the lichen, a lot of people think are benign to the trees, but they act to acidify the soil, and the acidification of soil over time ages a forest and ultimately creates inhospitable environments for the trees that we want to protect. So burning creates an alkaline cover of ash that slows the aging of the forest. And the smoke kills the moss and the lichen that create those inhospitable environments. So in order to mimic these fires, we were literally scrubbing moss and lichen off of diseased oak trees. We were spreading volcanic ash onto the soil as well as minerals, and we were applying poultice, which is like a mix of minerals, and covering the sick parts of these trees, like a band-aid. Many of our oak trees in the state of California are sick through drought, beetle infestation, and other vectors like sudden oak. Trees are so sick, we were cutting out the infected areas infected by beetles, and we were cutting those parts out and applying poultice and clearing the underbrush. And after a fire mimicry treatment, the treated trees had a much better survival rate from the spread of catastrophic fires. And really protecting the oak forest is about tribal food sovereignty. It's about food justice, just like we as permaculturalists have been cultivating our gardens and seeds. In February, we're going back to the same place, and actually we're going to be burning the underbrush that we had piled up on the side of the path. And then we're going to, again, use that ash to alkalinize the soil. Really smart, right? There were systems like that are nature-based that we can learn from. And that's true across the country, and it's very location specific, these techniques. And we want to find out more about how we can repair ecosystems as well as human relations by supporting these regenerative efforts. And so some of this is just a bunch of skill shares. And as you know, transitioners, we're all about skills and a community of practice. 2023 for the California pilot, we want to combine the festival infrastructure available to us from festivities like Burning Man, bring infrastructure and resources to restoration camps, and layer these festivals that celebrate art, people, and the planet with ecosystem restoration and related skill share. We want to also layer in music and wellness exercise.
That's really impressive and inspiring. There's always been roots in transition and permaculture, but these really innovative ideas that you guys have about how to bring younger folks in and BIPOC folks in and be invited into communities to do this work is very impressive.
With the confidence you gave us, we've been able to cultivate the relationships and the conversations that brought us here. And we're really proud about the evolution of transition. We critically do need support to put these ideas into practice. And we are really hopeful about what we are bringing back to you, the movement, the transition supporters, and we really appreciate being serious about what we mean by transition.
Well, I plan to give to hope, and I hope that lots of other folks will too.
Thank you. Let's give to hope.